right, rewatchers, welcome back to Retro Rewatch. We have hit that time portal, hit the rewind button, and we are ready for a new show. We've got another mail day today. It's been a little while since I did the last one, and hopefully in a day or so, Trey and I are going to be recording a new show that's going to be a little bit more original content other than just mail days. We got a lot of stuff over here, so let me just go ahead and get started. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm actually going to give a shout out to an eBay store. It's called Fast Driver, and um, he just sells discs, not with the cases. I don't know if it's a video rental place of some kind, and then they just kind of sell the discs whenever they've lived the life of their rentals or whatever. But this is what they look like whenever they come in the mail. And as you can see, this is supposed to be Kickboxer, the international version. So it's a 4K set of Kickboxer that came out not too long ago. And that's actually a video that we have talked about on the channel before. Um, and while I like Kickboxer okay, I didn't really want to fully upgrade to the 4K, not for especially not for the cost it was, because it was around $40 or something like that. But it did have an international cut of the movie that was a different cut of the film that's never been released on a Blu-ray or 4K or anything before. And this is actually a Blu-ray, not a 4K. But what's really interesting is when you look at it, it's actually like a videotape that has been ripped to a Blu-ray. It's kind of washed out. It's in 4:3 full screen. I think it adds about 3 or 4 minutes to the movie. It pulls some stuff out. It adds some stuff in, a little more character development. I don't think it adds anything to the violence. I don't think there's any more fights. I don't think there's any more blood, anything like that. I could be wrong, but I don't think it is. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But one reason I wanted to show that off too is they come in the disc sleeve. So, and we've talked before on the channel about how I do custom covers, but I've never really shown that off. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna show you four more that came in just like this, but I've already made cases for them. And we've got the 4K of Maxxine with a custom cover on it. I haven't seen it yet. That's the third film in the Ty West trilogy of X, Pearl, and then Maxxine. Man, X and Pearl are fantastic. I can't wait to watch this. It's got a good cast in it, but like I said, I hadn't been able to catch up with it yet. Next, we have Horizon Part 1, an American Saga. And I've actually got this set up with like a multi-disc case and all like that because there's supposed to be at least one more, if not two more parts to this thing. If there's two more parts to it, I'm gonna have to put it in a three case. But I've got it set up to where I can just kind of get them as they come out. And then we've got the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. Now, this movie was actually kind of neat. I've actually seen this one. Um, it's supposed to be based on a true story, although it is very over exaggerated. It's a Guy Ritchie movie. So, I mean, anytime you see his stuff, I mean, there's just kind of a certain element to it that's kind of like hyper reality. And so this kind of fits in that, but it's kind of neat because I mean, you've got this group of like British spies that go into Germany and like steal a submarine. It's pretty good. It's got Henry Cavill and the guy from Reacher. I can't remember his name right off the top of my head. Alan Richson. Yeah, I mean, Reacher is great for anybody watching the channel. If you haven't watched Reacher, it's a fantastic show. And matter of fact, season 3 should be coming out here in the next week or two. Um, and it's also got Carrie Elwes in this, who pops up, and he's like a British spy, like somebody that's in like Parliament or something. That's pretty good. And then we've got the Nic Cage surprise Longlegs. This is some of Nic Cage's best work. I've seen this as well. Um, Nic Cage is almost unrecognizable in this. I mean, it's really genuinely some of his best work. The movie is set kind of in the mid early 90s, where it's kind of at the end of the Satanic Panic kind of 80s thing. But the twist of it is the Satanic Panic is real, and you've got a serial killer who is leaving cryptograms and there's certain traits of it that are similar amongst all these murders. And um they happen on a certain date, but then kind of like when we talked about Late Night with the Devil, there's a lot of little nuanced things that just kind of happen in the frame that you're not necessarily meant to see, but your subconscious gets it, and it's unnerving. But if you do notice it, I mean, it's absolutely there, and it's like shadows of the devil and other stuff like that. That's really, really, really cool. I will say, like, I almost felt like the movie was too short. It was an hour and 40 minutes. It really felt like it would have worked better as a 6 episode show on Netflix or something. Because I mean, the concept was excellent, the filmography was excellent, the acting was excellent, like the little details of it were excellent, but somehow this, to me, the sum of the whole wasn't quite as good as the parts. And I think a lot of it had to do with it just almost felt like a Cliff Notes movie, like it was moving too fast to really try and absorb the details and for them to really get all the details in. And so that's Longlegs. I would recommend it. I thought it was a very enjoyable movie. Albeit, like I said, maybe one day, kind of like Day of the Jackal getting picked up as two movies that have been made from Day of the Jackal, and it, gets turned into a TV show on, I think it was Peacock, something like that. Like this would be a phenomenal title to do something like that with. But this is another one of those that came in, like I say, it was just a disc only, and then, create a custom cover for it. All right, moving on to the next one. Let's see here. We have something from Amazon. Let's see what we got in here. All right. Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol. So this is the season 2 of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, the spinoff. Um, so for anybody that has that knows me or has talked to me recently, I've been working on finishing The Walking Dead for about a year and a half now. I got it in October of 23, and I just finished it 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I mean, it's 11 seasons, 177 episodes. I mean, it was a beast to get through. And overall, I really enjoyed it. Like it had a couple of places in the series where it kind of slumped a little bit, um, especially around whenever Rick kind of left the show. It took a little while to get used to the time jump and used to the new survivors and stuff like that. But since finishing the show, now I'm trying to work through the spinoffs. I've seen The Ones Who Live, which was pretty good. And I'm working on Daryl Dixon now. I've got 3 episodes left in season 1, but I wanted to be ready to watch season 2 as soon as I'm finished with season 1. And then you've also got Dead City with Negan and Maggie. And I think that'll get me caught up on The Walking Dead proper. Now you still have World After, World Apart, something like that, that happens in Omaha, which is related directly to The Ones Who Live in a way. Then you also have Fear the Walking Dead, which is another 100 episode show. I don't know that I'm ever going to get into that one. Um, and then you've also got like Tales from the Walking Dead. I mean, there's several spinoffs of this stuff. I mean, it was a very lucrative franchise, and AMC is getting every cent they can out of it. So anyway, all right. Next. Okay, so this is interesting for multiple reasons. All right, so we have The Getaway with Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger and James Woods. So this is a remake of a Steve McQueen movie, and for a long, long, long time, this was only available on Laserdisc and maybe DVD in the unrated cut, because this is the unrated cut, if you can see that there. And one of the main things that makes this unrated is at the time Alec Baldwin and Kim Basinger were married, and there are some happy, fun, lucky, good, coital, fun scenes. I'm trying to make it as funny as I can. I don't think I'm doing a good job. It had some sex scenes in it, and so here's the thing: the sex scenes were unsimulated. It was actually them performing as a man, as a husband and a wife in a Hollywood movie. And so those sex scenes are a little steamier than the R-rated cut. Now, I've never seen this at all. I've never seen the unrated cut. So I don't know exactly what to expect as far as that goes, how graphic it is or is not. One other really interesting thing about this, though, is this is a Shout Scream Factory title. And I did not know this until just recently, but on their site, you can become a member, which is free. And it's not the same thing as having an account, but it's just having a membership. And you would want to do that anyway, because just by buying stuff off their site, you earn points, dollars, something where, like, as you buy stuff, you get money back. Okay, great. Well, more than that, there is a subsection of the website that is hidden under normal circumstances unless you are a member. And I had no idea of that. And this is one of the titles that's in their member exclusive only things. And for the longest time, I didn't even know this was on Blu-ray because it's more or less hidden from the public. And so anyway, just a lot of funny, weird stuff around this particular title. All right, moving on to the next one. All right, we've got something here from Germany. All right, cool beans. So this is a title that I really don't know a lot about. There was a YouTube video that I saw recently, and I am just like action movie starved. Okay, I feel like I've seen some good horror movies recently, um, some good dramas, stuff like that. But as far as like new good action movies, it's really difficult for me to think of the last real good one I saw. And so on YouTube, there was just a top five underrated action movies, and it had like Long Gone Heroes. It had Take Cover with Scott Adkins, which is like a an Amazon Prime only exclusive title. Rogue City, and I can't remember the fourth one, but the fifth one was Dominique. And I think loosely this has to do with a woman who was part of a special forces unit or a special police unit or something like that. And I believe she's retired and she comes under attack after she has basically left her service, whatever it is. And it actually did get good ratings. The only way you can get it on physical media, though, is 4K from Germany. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing that and hoping I get a good action movie. Let's see here. All right, moving on. And it looks like we've got something from the UK here. Okay, cool. All right, so this is a limited edition version of a movie that came out in the late 90s. Phenomenal cast. Has Kate Blanchett, Keanu Reeves, Giovanni Ribisi, Katie Holmes, and Katie Holmes' only nude scene that I'm aware of off the top of my head, and it is a Sam Raimi movie called The Gift. And so this is a murder mystery where I believe it was Katie Holmes, if I remember correctly, spoilers ahead, that was the murder victim. And Kate Blanchett is playing a psychic that witnesses the murder through her psychic ability. And then trying to convince people of what she's saying is real and trying to find the killer and all this stuff. And I remember it being a pretty good movie. It came out on DVD, but it missed Blu-ray. It never came out on Blu-ray. And so now Arrow has released a 4K of it. And so when I saw that that was coming out, I had to get that because it's been 20 something years since I've seen it. And I remember it being pretty good. And then on top of the fact that, like I said, it missed Blu-ray, it just made it even more interesting that we're going to go straight to 4K. All right, let's see what we got here. So we've got one off of eBay. This is actually for my kids. Um, we went to go watch a movie. I'm trying to remember now what it was. Maybe Rango? I can't remember, with Johnny Depp. And it did one of these things where it had trailers playing before the movie that you couldn't skip. It was just locked in. You couldn't go to the main menu. You couldn't skip forward. So you had to watch. And there was a trailer for this movie, The Fifth Wave, with Chloe Grace Moritz. I think you say Moretz. I don't know. It's how you say her last name. I love her. Okay. Like, I mean, she is, she was in Kick Ass. She was in Shadow in the Cloud, which I absolutely love. I love her. So my kids, once the trailer was over, they were just like, "Oh my God, we want to see that so bad." It looked like an alien invasion type movie. And so this was cheap. It was like $5 or something like that. Like literally like $5 or $6 total, like shipping and everything off of eBay. So that's why I got this. It was for kind of like the next family movie night. Oh, excuse me. All right. Next, moving on. Now, this is actually, because I can see it kind of from where I cut it open. This is actually a movie that also is from the UK, albeit I got it off of eBay. I believe it was a Shudder movie, if I'm not mistaken. But the basics of this are it is like a revenge film set in the 1800s, like pre-Civil War, I think. But anyway, one of the subreddits I'm in, I don't think it was actually Shudder, even though I'm in that subreddit, but I think it was another one. This was a movie that they were talking about a pretty good bit, and a lot of people were really chiming in about how amazing it is. But it's The Nightingale, and this is a release from Second Sight Films. This is a Blu-ray, so this will not work in a Region A Blu-ray player. You've got to have a multi-region player, or something like that. So just FYI, in case anyone was wanting to hunt it down, it does have a release in America, and it was put out by Scream Factory, I'm pretty sure, but it only had like one or two special features, and one of them was like a trailer. And this thing had like a ton of special features. Um, I mean, it had like some commentaries, a whole lot of interviews, some making ofs, video essay. It also had the trailer, and it was actually cheaper for me to get this one. And I kind of wonder if someone in the US got it thinking they could play it and it wouldn't work on their player, and they were just trying to get rid of it. But for me, having a multi-region player, it's going to be just fine. So looking forward to that. All right, so we have something here from Vinegar Syndrome. I really like how Vinegar Syndrome sends their stuff. They've got their own tape, and so you know what's in the box before you open it, as far as like it's a Vinegar Syndrome release type thing. Now, what it actually is, let's find out. There are two movies in here. All right, so first we have Red Rooms. And this is a foreign film. I cannot, was it France maybe? Where this came out. I honestly can't remember what the country of origin is, but this seemed like a really cool movie. It kind of gets compared to a David Fincher type film, where you've got this model who's been following along a serial killer case, and there's something about the case that's not quite adding up. And she is trying to track down kind of a missing piece, like a video that would solve the serial killer murders, but she winds up getting drawn into the web. And it sounded intriguing enough for me to give it a try. And then the next one is a comedy, um, which is Hundreds of Beavers. Now, as a general rule, I really am not that big into comedy over and over again. I think as a general rule, I like comedy shows better than movies. Like I love Friends, I love South Park, stuff like that. Um, I can put up with The Office, although I'm not really a big Office fan. So I've probably just like alienated 75% of the people that would watch this. But um, anyway, with movies, it's really hit or miss with me. I don't really know, like, okay, I like Jim Carrey dumb, I like American Pie, stuff like that. But then I'll see Will Ferrell dumb, and that just doesn't speak to me. Again, I've probably alienated the other 25% or whatever the difference was. And so now nobody's watching. But with Hundreds of Beavers, it's just kind of a tongue-in-cheek, supernatural like comedy, where you've got this trapper who has got to deal with hundreds of beavers and uh, fulfill the fur trade. And this is actually the second movie in a loosely connected series. I think it was the Lake Michigan Monster. Came out in 2018, and it's like it sounds like it's also a supernatural comedy about like a big sea creature that's living in Lake Michigan. And then this is the same director. This guy's got four names. I don't know if it's on the back here. It's not. I cannot remember it. I think his last name is Co. Um, but this is another one again. Whenever it came out as its limited edition, it sold out like in like 2 hours. On Reddit, it gets a lot of buzz. So I was just curious to check it out and kind of see what it's all about. All right. We've got another film from the UK here, although it's not really from the UK. As a matter of fact, I actually spoke about this last film on the last mail day, and it is Cannibal the Musical. So the last time I talked, I had the vinegar syndrome version of this that I got for Black Friday. And so, right around the same time in America, you've got Vinegar Syndrome that put it out. And in the UK, Europe, you had Refuse that put it out. And so, you've got a whole different like design cover, a slip cover. Then you've got your design here. This, like, all of this is special features. And this is actually why I got it. I still haven't had a chance to catch up with this movie yet. I have no idea. It may be horrible. I may have wasted my money. I'm not sure. But the Vinegar Syndrome had two versions of the film on it. And I think I may have stated incorrectly on my last video that it was restored from video cassette elements. And while I was right, I was also wrong because on in the Vinegar Syndrome, there are two versions. There is one that is from some print, a film print that someone was able to find. And then you also had one that was from video cassette. And then they redid the transfers from that. Okay. Now, I want to make sure that everybody understands a film print. There's a big difference here. You've got a film negative and you've got a film print. A film negative would be like the originals. It's like what went through the camera on the day of shooting. They used it to edit. It's the original. And as a general rule, that is what you want to take your transfers from because it's going to be the cleanest, best version. A print is exactly what it sounds like. It's where, okay, we've got the movie together. Here's our final cut. We've got 2,000 theaters we've got to send it out to, and we are going to make a print from the original to send out. Well, this becomes problematic for a lot of reasons. Number one, every time you make a copy, you have some amount of loss. You might have color timing that's not quite right. You could have sound that's a little off. Like it could be a number of things. It might be a little bit, it might be a lot. But it also has been through a camera somewhere a lot. It's been spinning through there like while it was at its theatrical run. So it gets dust, it gets hair, it gets scratches. You have all this stuff. So a print, as a general rule, is nowhere near the best that you could use to create a new transfer of a film from. So, but they did have a print that they made one of the versions, one of the discs from, and then they had VHS. Now, let's go to Refuse. This also has two versions on it, and it also came from like VHS elements, but in the UK, there was a different version of the film. Like one of the songs, for instance, has like a whole nother like stanza of lyrics that were cut out in the US version and other changes like that. So to have the complete collection of the film, to have all versions, this, that, and the other, you had to get the refuse one too. And actually, even though this 100% came from like PAL VHS, which is better than American VHS, by the way. It's got more lines of resolution. Um, I've read that the transfer on this is actually better than the Vinegar Syndrome, which in some ways I can believe it. In some ways, it's like, well, I mean, if it came from film print, maybe there's opportunity it could be a little better, but I don't know. So anyway, but there you go. That's why I've got two versions of this thing. All right. So next we have a TV show box set, and it is the Addams Family back from, I don't know, the 50s, the 60s, the 60s, mid 60s. All right. So it started in 1964 and ran to 1966. And it's a very popular show. Everyone would know what the Addams Family is, but it only ran for 64 episodes. That's really not a lot. That's only like, I mean, that's like 2.5 seasons for its period of time. And then, of course, you had like the Monsters as well. But the reason that I got this was my oldest daughter actually was trying out for a play of the Addams Family at her school, and it was something that she wasn't really familiar with. And so we watched the first Addams Family movie from like 1993, which I had actually never seen. I also haven't seen I have seen it now, but I also hadn't seen the Addams Family Values. But we will watch the Barry Sonnenfeld Adams Family with Christopher Lloyd and Raul Julia. I think I'm saying that right. And it was okay. It was not bad. It was a decent film. But it made me think more of the TV show and how much I really enjoyed it as a kid. And so, at night, whenever we're doing like bedtime with the kids, prayer time, stuff like that, sometimes we wind up having a little time before, a little time after that we could spend as a family before needing to go to bed. And so I kind of thought this might fit in really well. At least for a while, being able to say like, "Hey, let's watch an episode of the Addams Family," because the kids seem to really get into it, and so that was kind of the motivation for doing that. So that's the Addams Family. All right, so we got two left. All right, so we have another Arrow video here. This one is from the UK, I believe. So the gift earlier came from Arrow US. All right, so this one is a Tarsem Singh film, and it has Jennifer Lopez in it, and Vincent D'Onofrio and Vince Vaughn, I think it is, playing the FBI agent, which honestly I think is kind of an odd role for him. But anyway, this is another limited edition set, and it is The Cell, and it is a 4K. Now, this is one that did come out on Blu-ray. Not only did it come out on Blu-ray, what's really interesting is when it came out on Blu-ray, it was actually an extended cut that was an unrated cut. It adds 2 or 3 minutes to the film, but nowhere on the packaging did it say that. But it was not the theatrical version of the film. And to my knowledge, on Blu-ray, there was not a way to get the theatrical version. There was back on DVD. There was a New Line Cinema Platinum version that was the theatrical cut on DVD. This 4K is supposed to have both versions of the film. It's going to have the theatrical cut and the director's cut, and I believe both of them are 4K. All right, so I'm not seeing real quick if both of them are in 4K, but I think it is. However, I have read that there is an error on the disc in the extended cut. There is a scene around 20 minutes into the movie where they have some frames that repeat, and so you have like video, you've got a change of scene, and then you have frames that are in that was like a scene that you just came from that doesn't make sense that they're there and it's out of place. So I'm sure that there'll wind up being like a correction disc, that a program you'll have to sign up for. It'll come out at some point in time. um I don't think this was Tarsem Singh's first movie. I don't think it might have been his first movie that came to the US. As far as the story is concerned, I think it's honestly mildly lackluster as far as the reveal of how they find the killer. Um, but what's interesting about it is you have this setup where these investigators are able to go into the brain of a serial killer and see inside his brain to try and see if they can find a victim that is still missing after they've captured him. And the portrait of the mind that Tarsem Singh creates is just phenomenal. I wish they had found some way to just stay in that the whole movie, because that part of the movie was just excellent. He is a very visionary director. After this, I know he did The Fall with Lee Pace, and then I am 99.9% sure he did Immortals with Henry Cavill and Mickey Rourke. And I don't know that that movie got very good press, but I actually liked it pretty good. And the 3D on it was amazing. And the battle scenes at the end of it with the Titans was great. It was as good to me as anything that was in like 300 or any movie of that type. So I'm disappointed to hear that the disc has got a flaw in it that should have been caught in quality control. This is a boutique title, just like Shout and so Refuse, Vinegar Syndrome, all these things are boutique titles. That happens a lot with boutique titles, and I'm kind of shocked how that happens. Like between we've got this movie, we've watched it, we've transferred it, like who at the factory, at the production office, like what is the chain of command to watch a movie and make sure that it's accurate before you spend tens of thousands of dollars, I'm sure, maybe more than that, to actually press this stuff before you sell it. I don't know, but it does happen a lot. Umbrella's had at least one here recently with Caligula, the Ultimate Cut. There was two discs in that 5 disc set that had an issue. There was one of them that had an audio issue where it only came from the right or left side. I can't remember which. I haven't watched it. And then there was another one where the sound was so low, you would have to like literally turn it all the way up just to barely be able to hear it. And so Umbrella is, I know they're replacing at least one of the discs. I don't know about the other one. Speaking of Umbrella, this is our last package, and it is an Umbrella box. And the first title in it is The Speedway Murders. So this is a Australian-made documentary about an American crime that is unsolved to this day that happened in Speedway, Indiana, if I'm not mistaken, where four teenagers, after working a shift at a burger joint, just went missing. Uh, and they're gone, and no one knows exactly what, why, or how. But I personally really um like crime documentaries, like true crime documentaries, like especially like Netflix has a ton of them, like The Keepers, Lacey Peterson, Sons of Sam, which is really, really, really good. Sons of Sam, I would highly recommend that one. And this was just kind of in that same vein, but it's made by an Australian filmmaking crew, and I think the only way you can get it is from Umbrella. Um, oh my. All right, so we've got a box within a box. So we have got another box here, and I think I know what this is. I have not looked at it. All right. Yep. So this is something that Trey and I talked about on the show whenever we did a show at his house. We watched a few horror movies. We watched Smile and we watched Terrifier and All Hallows Eve. And just recently, Umbrella did a release of Terrifier 3, and they did the complete trilogy in a 4K HDR, I think it's like Dolby Vision box set. All right. So this is a limited edition hard box set. And let's see here. It's hard to see. It's so big. Ah, all right. But you've got the three movies, Terrifier, Terrifier 2, and Terrifier 3. And then you've got a book, Art Attack, and then it's got some cards in it as well. And I believe that All Hallows Eve is in here as well on the first set. Now, I don't know if All Hallows Eve is in 4K, but the three films are. And I did not see anywhere else where this was going to be printed in 4K for all of the films. That may be, I may be mistaken on that. And if they were in 4K, I don't believe they were in true HDR and or Dolby Vision, which these are supposed to be. Now, this is a limited edition run, and this is the largest run I have seen Umbrella do. This is 20,000 copies of this thing, and I am number 1,635. So out of 20,000, that is pretty low. It came with the films in the hard box set. It has a VHS tape of Terrifier 3. And this should be the NTSC version. So I'm really looking forward to this for the sake of not really the tape. I don't know that that's going to go on my wall as like a keepsake kind of thing. I've got a VCR, but to be honest, I'd be a little afraid to put that in there. Um, we have got the Art Attack Lego set of Art the Clown that came in it. And then we also have some, for anybody that watches Bluey, the Art the Clown Sunnies from, I guess, the third movie, because it's a Christmas themed movie. So I have not seen Terrifier 2 or 3. I have heard that Terrifier 2 is excellent, that it is a major upswing from the first one. So I'm very much looking forward to that. It's very long, it's well over 2 hours. And then for the third one, I have heard that it is just all kinds of wrong, that it goes so far and there is so much they do in it that is just crazy. I have no idea how long it is. So anyway, this is a 6 disc set, and I don't, this thing's heavy. So that's it. I think I've gotten through all of it. So that's it. That's the end of another mail day. We have gotten to the end of the tape. We've got to hit the rewind button and get to the video store. Before we do that, if you would, please hit that like and subscribe button, and let us know if you like the content, if this is something that interests you or not, or if there's anything you would like to see us do. So that's it. We appreciate it. We're heading to the video store, and we will see you next time.